You know, we've been talking about doing this interview now for over 3.5 years, and since this Reagor Dykes Auto Group situation all started, there have been a lot of things said about you and
Yes, ma'am.
implied about you in the media around town, a lot of things. You were all over the media prior to, you know, everything that happened in July of 2018.
Yes, ma'am.
Why have we not heard from you since that day?
Believe me, it's not because I didn't want to. And I think you and I texted about it several times, and I was always shot down by my attorneys. They wouldn't let me. They just said wouldn't let me talk. And then, of course, you know, my kids and my wife, you know, they said you better listen to them, you know, because a couple times I was just going to get in the car and just come over and see you. But I think it was teaching me some discipline. You know, it's been hard to hear the things that have been said about me and not be able to respond, but I didn't. So, but I'm here now.
Well, let's go all the way back to 2003.
Okay.
The year you started the Reagor Auto Mall here in Lubbock. How and why did you decide to start the dealership?
Those were exciting times. You know, we had our kids were little. You know, back in 2003, I guess we had a 13-year-old, 11-year-old, and a 9-year-old, and I was the Little League coach and all that. So it might not have been the best time, but in 1987, I got to kind of go back there. In 1987, when I finished playing football at Tech, one of my good friends and teammates, Boyd Cowan from Odessa, had sold cars the summer before, and the season ended in December, and he was going to go back and sell cars over the Christmas holidays, and he invited me to come with him, and I met Mike Edwards, who was the general manager, and he hired me, and I did really good. And prior to that, the only thing I'd ever done in my life was mow yards or pump gas at a gas station or roof houses, and I thought, man, I can make money just talking to people, you know, and making friends, and so I liked it. And so after that next semester, I went back in May. I still had another year of school. My football eligibility was done, but I wanted to graduate. I was going to be the first one in my family on either side to graduate, and I was married. We got married in August '87, so we did pretty good. I did pretty good selling cars while going to school full time. I took both summer sessions, and they said as long as you take your classes in the morning, you can sell in the afternoon until close. And so I did that both summers, and then the fall and the spring, and I did pretty good. And we found out we were having a baby, and I got offered a management position with Pollard, and I took it. I was a F&I manager, and did that for 18 months, and then I became a sales manager. Did that for about 12 months, and then I became the general sales manager of all the new. I was over the trucks and the cars, and you know, I was like, I don't know, let's see, that would have been about 91 or 92, so I was probably, I guess, 26 years old. And so, yeah, and then I left there and actually got out of the car business for a little while. And there we go.
There you go. So the 2003 dealership, the year you decided to
Oh,
put
yeah.
together.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. The
Yeah.
Reagor Dykes Auto Group. Why did you decide to do that at that point?
Well, I just really liked the car business, and sorry I got off track there, but I just really liked the car business, and I made a goal back then that someday I want to have my own auto group. My goal was to be the Michael Jordan of the car business, because Michael Jordan was awesome in basketball back then, and so my football career was over, and so I said, if I'm not going to be good at sports, I'm going to be the best at this, and so that's what I strived to be. I read a lot of books, watched a lot of videos, and how to be good at it. So
you decided to branch
So
out on your
in
own.
2003, well, in 1996, I went to work for Messer. They got bought out by a corporation called Group One, and that was in 1999. And later that year, in November of '99, I was made the general manager of Gene Messer Toyota Hyundai, which used to be located right next to y'all over here on University and the South Loop. And when I took it over, it wasn't making money, and they weren't selling very many Toyotas because they didn't think Toyotas would sell in West Texas. And by 2001, we were the #1 Toyota store in the Gulf States region, single point Toyota store, meaning only one Toyota dealership per city. And, you know, I was recognized for that in Houston by the Gulf States Corporation. And then by 2003, my two dealerships, they built me a new Toyota dealership, and then they separated the Hyundai out, and both of my dealerships were doing a combined gross profit of $1.5 million, and when I took it over in 1999, it was doing $200,000. So I had grown it really well. And then in May of '03, I had some stock options coming due from Group One, and I cashed them in and decided to leave, start my own thing. Yeah.
Fast forward 18 years later, as of this interview today, Bart, 14 employees of Reagor Dykes have been indicted by a federal grand jury, many of them already sentenced to prison. You've been found guilty at this point by a jury for a false statement to a bank. Hundreds of employees lost their jobs. Many customers had trouble getting titles. Ford says they're owed millions of dollars. All the dealerships have now closed. So tell me about the day you got that phone call in July of 2018.
Horrible. Well, I didn't know it was that horrible when I first found out. I got to go back to June. Okay, so June 29th. Okay, Ford Motor Credit they came on the 26th, and on June 29th I got an email from Gwen Schmucker, who was the rep from Ford Motor Credit, our rep. Prior to that it was Mary Dorsey, and she emailed me, and I opened up the email. You know, I never look at the attachments or anything else unless it's bad, you know. She said, "Hey Bart, great job. Your team is awesome. We appreciate the relationship. Your team deserves a pat on the back for how well the audit went." And so, I mean, it was great, you know. And then on July the 10th, all the Ford Motor Company executives out of Dallas and all the Ford Motor Credit Company and Ford Motor Company executives came to West Texas, and we started out with lunch in La Mesa, and they made a President's Award presentation. The Ford people did, and then in the afternoon at 5 o'clock we were in Plainview because both of our Ford stores won the President's Award that year, which is unheard of because only 4% of dealers win the President's Award. And to win the President's Award, you have to have great sales efficiency, which is, you know, exceeding your objective, but also great customer satisfaction ratings, which we had almost like perfect. And so we won both stores. And so, you know, I mean, I thought we were in great shape. And so July the 21st, was a Saturday, okay? And every Saturday I went over my Friday afternoon bank balance report that Shane Smith sent to me and Rick Dykes that I started in 2008 because in 2006 when Rick and I became partners, he was the financial guy. I mean, he said, "Bart, you grow the auto group. I'll take care of I'll make sure you have the capital to do it." Okay, and so I wasn't really involved as much in the banking like I was before Rick was my partner. But I gave him 50% of my company because he was going to be the capital and I was going to be the operator. And so I wasn't that involved in it, but we had a bad audit in La Mesa. I mean, nothing like millions of dollars. It was $400,000 back then because it was small. But I mean, that was a lot to me back then. And I was like, what's going on? You know, and so I made Shane start giving me a bank balance report. Back then we had only about 5 accounts. By the time all this happened at Reagor Dykes Auto Group, I had 5 pages of accounts. You know, we probably had 250 accounts, bank accounts. And, you know, so I'm getting lost again on with the deal. But
Tell me about the day you got that.
yeah, so, you know, I thought everything was good, you know, and so I was kind of shocked that that this was going on. And then Friday, you know, things got worse, and Ford obviously had planned to come down, and they had brought an army of people, and they put them in all of our dealerships and took all the titles, took all the keys. Every dime that was coming into the dealership, they took. And so it forced us into bankruptcy on August 1st. And once we filed bankruptcy, then we didn't have access to any of our bank accounts. So our people were trying to rally and sell cars to help the problem, but every car we sold caused a problem for the customer because we couldn't register it and we couldn't pay their trade-off because Ford was taking all the money. You see, I mean, Ford took all the money, the proceeds, but they didn't like allocate the registration or the payoff. So, I mean, we were kind of stuck. You know, we didn't have any money to pay them. So it was crazy.
What has life been like for you in Lubbock since 2018?
It's been different. Yeah, I mean, I work a lot less. Yeah, had a lot of time off. But, you know, it's been fun, though. You know, I've got to spend a lot of time with my family. Some great things have happened. You know, I've been the father of the bride. I've been the father of the groom. I'm now a grandfather of 2 beautiful grandchildren. I worked on a startup business with my sons, and we got a little old house over by Tech that we had as an office, and we worked together for about a year on that, and then COVID came at a bad time, and and at the time, with all the lawsuits I was having to deal with and all that, I mean, just financially, we just couldn't do it. But I was really proud of them they're really smart. I'm not that smart, but they had come up with some really cool ideas that would have been probably really good. So it was sports data analysis, because we love sports, but they both went off, and Riley went to New York Life and Ryan went to back in the car business. They're both doing great, so I'm proud of them.
Bart, what do you want people to know about you?
And I'm still the same Bart Reagor I ever have been. I came out here when I was 18 years old from Dallas, and I walked on at Tech. And I worked really hard to make the team. I made varsity as a freshman, earned a scholarship, became the first person in my family to graduate from college, got into car sales, worked really hard to be good at that, and I think I was pretty good at it, and I worked my way up in the Gene Messer Auto Group to where I was running 2 of their 4 stores, and actually my 2 import stores were the 2 most profitable import stores in Group 1 Automotive. And then I started a Reagor Dykes Auto Group, Reagor Automall, then it turned to Reagor Dykes Auto Group, that grew from 2 employees and myself to 700 employees and 20 locations in 9 different cities, and and that I was good to people. I mean, I love giving back to people, and I'm an honest guy. I mean, I didn't have anything to do with any of this fraud.
Okay. If you're willing, can we talk about some of the health issues you've had the last few years?
Yeah, I told you, I got a rock in my hand right here, because I guess in about 2016 or 2017, I started noticing my thumb was moving. And I thought it was just a habit, but I kept watching it. And I broke both my wrists when I was playing football at Tech and never got them fixed. Both these navicular bones, or there's another name for them too. Patrick Mahomes did it and had his fix when he was here, because he was smart, but I was not smart because I didn't want to miss any games. And I had shoulder problems all the time, from hitting people, and neck problems from hitting people, concussions. And so I figured I just had some nerve deal. And in 2020, May of 2020, I got diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, which is, right now there's no cure for that, but they do medicate it. And so I'm doing good. I'm still working out every day except for Sunday, and I feel good. I'm 55, but I feel like I'm about 25 energy-wise, and still running around with the dogs and the kids, and so I feel good. And then later that year, I went in for my physical with my regular doctor, Dr. Shanklin, and something came back in my blood test on my PSA count was high, and so they sent me to a urologist, and they did a biopsy, and I had prostate cancer, and so I had to have that surgery in January this year, and they did a robotic removal of that, and it went good. And I had 6 weeks I couldn't lift anything over 15 pounds, but as soon as that 6 weeks was up, I got back in the gym, and I feel good. I feel 100% cancer free, Parkinson's under control, so I feel good.
Okay. How important has your family been through all of this?
I mean, they've been awesome. I've always said, my priorities were God, family, team, and me. I'm the last for me, and that's how I've always and that's what I taught my employees. God, family, team, which was I consider my team. You're my team. I mean, you're my friend. He's my team. He's always been good to me. People that are my team, my friends, I put them all before me. And but my family's been awesome. My wife. You can imagine the stress. Even going to the grocery store, with all the stuff going on. But, it's been great. My kids have rallied. My daughter and her husband down in Houston, it kills me. My daughter was a valedictorian at Monterey, went to UT, graduated with honors, went to Duke and went to law school. And, I found out that she had to even go to counseling, and so that kills me, and I know that kills my wife. So, I hate it for them. Yeah. But I'm fine, but I hate it for them.
Of course, you had a really big presence in the Lubbock community. You were all over TV. You were at all the big events. very giving in those things to local charities and local people. Why do you think a lot of people came back at you with such a negative or hostile attitude?
I don't blame them. It's just, I think that's just human nature. I had a mentor one time that was really smart, a lot smarter than me. Hopefully maybe I've got a little smarter, but he told me that, Bart, why do you think the news is negative? And I said, what do you mean? Why do you think most of the time when you watch the news, they tell negative stories? This guy got arrested, or this guy got this, or Bart Reagor screwed up his company, or whatever. He said, because if it wasn't, all the people watching it would be depressed. And if they can sit at home at night after they've been at work and maybe they're making minimum wage or barely making it, if they can sit at home and see all these other stories that are worse, it makes them feel better. So at least I'm not that guy. If they got on there and said, hey, Bart Reagor got another dealership, made another $1 million, that would make them happy. And be like, why am I not doing that? And so, because it sells ads. And so I think people thrive on negativity because it makes them feel better about themselves, And so, I don't blame them. They don't know me. The people that know me, like those people I saw, I told you I saw those people in the parking lot when I got here. He rolled down his window, hey, Bart, I got this car from you. And I said, that was great. The other night I went to Jason's Deli to pick up dinner. Sure enough, I'm standing there waiting, and this couple comes in, and I knew I recognized the guy, but his hair was white. It wasn't white the last time I'd seen him. He goes, yeah, I bought my first Toyota from you at Gene Messer over on 19th Street. And then he said, yeah, we bought from you at Reagor Dykes too. And he said, you can hang in there now. I said, cool. And then this other guy came in, and he was picking up food for his family. And he and I used to play softball and flag football and basketball against each other when we were in our 20s and 30s. And he also did work for me at the dealership when I was at Pollard and at Gene Messer and at Reagor Dykes. And so we talked for a while. And then as I was leaving, the lady that was fixing the food for my family, she handed me the bag and she said, keep your head up. And then when I got home, I'd ordered my strawberry shortcake because my wife loves their strawberry shortcake. And when we got home, there was 2 in there, and she had given me one. She had written on there with a Sharpie, keep your head up. So, so it's pretty cool. Yeah.
What are you guilty of in all of this situation, Bart?
If anything, I'm guilty of being too trusting. I trust people, I'm a trustworthy guy. If you ask me to do something, I'm going to do it, and I expect other people to do the same, and I learned about delegation from Henry Ford. I read Henry Ford's book and when I was young, and he actually had a lawsuit over a newspaper said he was an idiot when he was building Ford Motor Company. I don't think he's too much of an idiot. He's actually the reason we have highways and roads, and because he made a car affordable for everybody. And but they said he was an idiot because he didn't understand some of the things like accounting, and he didn't understand physics and stuff like that. But he was really good friends with Thomas Edison, So he didn't need to know physics because he knew the guy that invented the light bulb. And Thomas Edison even actually put a deal in Henry Ford's house back in the early 1900s that would lift. It was a circle. I've been in Henry Ford's house, and it's a circle disc you can pull a car on. It'll lift the car up to like the top of the house floor, and you can pull the car out on the top floor and store cars in his house. And this was like in the early 1900s. Thomas Edison, pretty smart. But so this paper said he was an idiot, so he sues this paper. And when he was on the witness stand, they said, well, you don't know about accounting, and you don't know about these bank accounts, and you don't know about this. He goes, well, if you come to my office, I got this phone there, and if I press this button, an accountant comes in. If I press this button, a chemistry major comes in. If I push this button, an engineer comes in. He said, I don't have to know everything. I just have to have the experts that know everything. And so, Shane was, had his master's in finance, and he had a whole team of people that were financial. Brad Fansler, that I've known forever, who's pleaded, and Ashley Dunn, who's pleaded guilty. those are friends of mine. I've known Brad Fansler since he was 19 years old. I met him at Gene Messer when first time I had to get a computer in my office. I remember him, he was the computer guy, and I said, dude, I don't need a computer. I said, if somebody wants to get a hold of me, they better call me, because I didn't know how to do email or anything like that. That was like 1999, you know? So, yeah.
Of course, you were the guy on TV.
Right.
You were the front man.
Mm-hmm.
You were the guy on everything. Your face was Reagor Auto Group.
Right.
How did you not know what was going on?
Yeah, I've been asked that, you know. I mean, I'm a marketing guy, okay? And like I told you earlier, I mean, Shane was a good friend of mine, okay? Everybody that worked at the Reagor Auto Group was a good friend of mine. All those people that worked in the financial, I trusted them, you know. And I mean, it's not like I was just oblivious to finance. I mean, every day I got a report on every dealership. I wish I'd have brought like a page, so I could show you what a page looked like of a month of me tracking the numbers of all the dealerships every day and what pace they were on and all the different things on their gross profit, because I pretty much knew what the expenses were at each store. And then every Friday I got that bank balance report that grew from like one page with 5 on there to 5 pages with like 250 on there. And, you know, I mean, like the day before I left for vacation, there was 20-something million dollars available on that bank balance report. So I wasn't worried about it. And, you know, I mean, we got through that. You know, we had a bad audit in March of 17, and, you know, we got through that. I mean, we had, you know, Ford Motor Credit even, you know, I didn't suspect any fraud, because if there'd have been fraud on the audit, why would Ford Motor Credit Company give me $5 million line of credit, you know? And so, I mean, I had no reason to suspect anything.
Okay. Well, we kind of talked about this a little bit, but after everything happened, a lot of those customers had trouble trying to find their titles and
Right.
trying to, you know, get their trade in and all of that. They had a bad experience.
Absolutely.
What would you say to them?
I'm sorry. You know, I mean, I'm sorry that happened, but I mean, I didn't have any control of it. You know, by the time on the 26th, okay, I get this email. Everything's pretty okay till late in the 26th. And then on the 27th, my dealerships were taken over by Ford. By the time I got home at midnight on the 28th, I mean, the last time Bart Reagor had any control of what was going on with the money or anything in Reagor Auto Group was July 21st, when I left, the day before I left on vacation. I mean, I had no say-so in, I was like, the first lawyer we had in Lubbock was David Langston. I spent a lot of time, the former mayor, and we spent a lot of time over there, and I was throwing a fit in there, and they were saying, just settle down. I said, these customers are not going to get their cars registered. These customers are not going to get their trades paid off. I mean, I was throwing a cow about it, because my customers are my friends, and they always have been, even like those people out there. And I don't want to let them down. But I mean, I didn't have any choice. I didn't have the money. All the money I had, everybody took from me. So, I mean, there was nothing I could do.
Okay, a couple of weeks ago in the trial,
Mm-hmm.
the jury came back deadlocked twice.
Yeah, they deliberated longer than the trial was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was your first reaction, Bart, when they read the verdicts of those things?
Well, the first one was, you know, bank fraud, not guilty. The second was bank fraud, not guilty. And then they said making false statement to a bank. They said guilty. I mean, that was disappointing, but I think it was a negotiation. You know, I think that I think we had one for sure, maybe two, that no matter what, they were going to fry me, kind of like we talked about earlier. I mean, he said bad words, he's a horrible person. But I mean, my lawyers did a great job. You know, Matt Powell, former district attorney, Trey Payne here in Lubbock, Dan Cogdell. Dan Cogdell goes back to, David Koresh in the Waco days representing people down there. And he's awesome. And his young guy, Nick Norris, came out of the military and also, my team did a great job. And I mean, they absolutely demolished the other team. I mean, because we had all the facts on our side. I mean, there's no proof of me doing anything. There's no proof of me making any false statement, and I didn't make any false statement. But I think it was Friday afternoon. The judge sent back this Allen bomb, they called it, or whatever, and they finally just said, all the people that were for me just said, okay, we'll go not guilty on the fraud, not guilty on the fraud, and we'll give you this one. And they finally agreed, and so that's what I think happened. And so we just gotta appeal it.
And of course, we kind of talked about this before. You said you were happy that night to go home with your wife.
I was. Yeah, because, the weekend before on Sunday, now you're going to make me cry, but we were watching football. The family was all there that were going to come to the trial, and we're all watching football, and I was starting to pack up because my lawyers wanted me to come down Sunday night because they didn't want me to have a flat or something to be late for court on Monday. And so I had a hotel room, and I remember playing with my granddaughter for a long time before I left, and I told my wife, because she was very upset, and it was an emotional time, and I just said, I hope I'm home next weekend. So I was excited when I got to leave the courtroom with my family.
Did you ever have any problems or concerns about Shane Smith or his work ethic or his decisions before July?
No. Shane was my friend. His wife was my friend. His son was my friend, I was a friend to his son and Cooper. And, I never suspected it. We went on, we tried to always include Shane and his wife. He was a big part of our success. He worked, that guy worked hard. He was there before me, and he usually left before me, but sometimes he left after me, I think he got there at 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning, and I think all this happened in the last couple of years, and I don't know, I'd like to talk to Shane. I'd like to talk to him because I've never gotten to talk to Shane since I left July 21st. I would just like to talk to him because I have some suspicions about some things, but there was no way that what Shane did could have happened without me knowing it unless there was people on the other side that were hiding it from me too.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? There's no way that what was going on with Ford that only Shane could know it and they didn't know it because they were doing audits every quarter. They couldn't, there's no way. It's impossible. There's no way that the check kiting scheme could be going on. I got a call today from a guy that lives in Houston. He's an expert accounting guy. And he told me that, Bart, I've been through all this stuff. He said, there is no way that these banks didn't know that y'all were kiting checks. These 500 intervals and all this stuff, they knew, and they were making money off of it. They were making millions of dollars off of it. Some of these little tiny banks around here. And, it was a money deal. Ford made a lot of money. My general manager in La Mesa, Brian Malakian, and he's now working with Rick in another dealership. They got a little used car lot on Avenue Q. But Brian Malakian is a really smart guy. He went to LCU, played baseball at LCU, good guy. Came to work for me. Didn't like him at first, but we kind of butt heads, but we became good friends, and I have a lot of respect for him. And he married one of my office managers that I really liked, and they have a great family. But he, when all this first happened, he said, Bart, I went back to the financial statements, and because he's a little more of a financial guy than me, he said Ford Motor Credit was charging us $50,000 a month more interest every month than what we should have been paying based on this fraudulent stuff. That's $600,000 a year, and that's one dealership out of 20. So they were making a lot of money, and plus we were buying about, we sold $800 million worth of cars in 2017. We were buying probably $400 million worth of cars from Ford, or 500. Yeah. So a lot of incentive there to keep us open. A lot of incentive there to, and I don't know, you and I've talked about the lawsuit that's going on with Ford, with the Reagor Dykes entities against Ford Motor Credit, $315 million. Obviously, I don't know this law firm out of Houston, but I know the guy that hired him out of Dallas. He's a friend of mine. And I don't think that law firm out of Houston would be doing this on a contingency, and I don't think they would sue Ford Motor Credit Company for $350 million if they didn't think there was $350 million at least that was wrongfully gotten. And I don't think that they would have sued First Capital Bank for over $50 million, which is a lawsuit that's pending right now too, which a lot of First Capital Bank people were not too good to me when all this first happened.
Okay.
And that's why I had to go out of town to get lawyers.
Okay. We talked about Shane a little bit. At the trial, you saw him for the first time.
Right.
Since all of this happened. And he took the stand and he said that he still loves you. And
I figured he did.
if you still loved him. He said he didn't, you said you didn't, or he said he didn't know whether or not you still loved him. What are your feelings on Shane?
Well, I mean, I did love the guy, and I mean, I don't hate the guy now. I mean, I'm not a hater. I mean, I'm disappointed, but I think there's more to the story. I think, I don't know, I'd like to talk to Shane. I've told my lawyer a bunch of times, call his lawyer. I want to find out. I think there's more to the story. Shane's falling on the sword. I know he's not falling on the sword for me, but he's falling on the sword for somebody. And I want to find out what's going on. I want to know.
Be a curious conversation. Now, he testified also and told the FBI that you didn't know what he did and said you never asked him to commit a crime. Like you were just saying.
Yeah, I didn't. I mean, it was like, if anything, I had these 5 disciplines and these 12 rules of the Reagor Dykes Auto Group, and both of them, it was for salespeople, for managers, and never misrepresent anything to a lender. When you sell the number of cars we have, and you have the number of employees we have, there's always a temptation for people that are, we dealt with a lot of lenders. And say, and there's always a temptation for the people that are submitting these car deals to these lenders to try to help people out, but you just can't do it. You don't misrepresent anything to a lender. And that went for everybody, and so, there's only one way to do things, and that's the right way, If you're going to win, and you're going to win for a long time, and you're going to build something big and something great, you got to do things right. Or eventually it's going to catch up to you.
That's true. And going back, you were found guilty by that jury of one of those things. Do you plan to appeal that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am, as soon as possible. Whatever's the fastest way we can get that changed, I'm ready.
Any regrets in all of this?
Oh my gosh, yeah. I regret all of it. I'm thankful to God. I think God has a plan for us all. And I have a good friend named Calvin Riggs. Calvin Riggs was a defensive end at Texas Tech when I played football. And Calvin Riggs, we used to call him Schoolie Baby. And he was on TV more than any other Tech player during the time I played because he was a character. He wore these glasses that said Schoolie Baby, like those old things where you clicked it out. Yeah, he had Schoolie here and Baby here. And he was a rapper. And like when we'd win a big game, like when we went to Arkansas and beat Arkansas, upset, they were ranked number 5 in the nation. We upset them in Arkansas. And, he got on the Southwest Airlines flight and, did this rap and, and he prayed for us before the game. And, he said, "Dear Lord, help us to beat these blank, blank." He's hilarious. But he's a minister now. And he's been telling me all along, he said, "Bart, this isn't about you." He said, "It's not about you." He said, "God knew this was going to happen to you way before you were ever born." And he said, "He's going to use you to do his will." And so I've just had to stay strong and just, God told me during the night 2 years ago I asked him, I said, God, what do I need to do? And he said, you don't need to do anything. And so that's where I'm at. And so
What's next for you?
I'm excited to find out, you know. I mean, I feel good, you know. I feel like I have the energy of a 20-year-old, and I'm looking forward to what's next, you know, wherever God leads me. You know, I like to do something that helps people, and you know, I don't know what that is. I mean, I think that we need, you know, we definitely need justice. You know, I mean, I think we've got there's a lot of corruption, I think, in the world. You know, I think money. You know, I met a guy. I went to North Carolina for a little while. That's where my mom's from. And there's a special beach place that we go there where her ashes are. And I went there to just kind of meditate for a week or so. While I was there, I met this guy. It was some kind of financial guy from New York. And, you know, and he made this statement to me. I was kind of telling him what was going on. And he goes, you got to pay to play, you know. And I mean, I was like, well, I don't know what that means. But you know, I mean, I don't like that kind of, I mean, I think everybody should be treated fairly and have a fair opportunity. And I don't think just because you have a lot of money or you own a big company that you should get any less justice in the courtroom than anybody else. And I don't feel like I've got my share of justice in the courtroom so far.
Anything else?
No, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Down.